New Jersey may be small, but it's packed with ancient mysteries that few people know about. From strange stone structures hidden in the forests to ghostly roads and forgotten ruins, the Garden State holds a surprising number of secrets. Some hint at lost civilizations, others defy explanation, but all share one thing in common: they keep historians and locals wondering what really happened here. The mysterious blue hole of Winslow. Deep in the pine forests of southern New Jersey, far from the noise of highways and neighborhoods, there's a hidden pool of water known as the Blue Hole. It looks out of place in the middle of the sandy green pine barrens, a perfect circle of deep blue surrounded by pale white sand and pine trees that seem to lean away from it. The surface is smooth, almost glass-like, and the water is so clear that it reflects the sky even on cloudy days. Locals say it's bottomless. Others whisper that it's cursed. For generations, the Blue Hole has been one of New Jersey's strangest mysteries. It sits near Winslow Township, not far from the Mullica River, but it doesn't seem connected to any normal stream or lake system. No one really knows how deep it goes, or what's under it. Some old maps don't even mark it, as if the spot didn't exist at all. Yet every local has heard of it, and most have a story to tell. The most common legend ties the Blue Hole to the Pine Barrens' most famous creature, the Jersey Devil. According to stories going back to the 1700s, the devil himself uses the Blue Hole as a watering place. People say they've seen strange tracks leading up to the edge of the water, hoofprints that start in the sand and stop right at the rim, as if whatever made them walked straight in and vanished. Others claim to have heard screams or heavy wing beats in the trees when night falls. On still evenings, the air around the Blue Hole can feel heavy and silent. No crickets, no frogs, even birds seem to avoid it. Some locals describe hearing faint splashes even when the surface looks perfectly calm. A few have seen bubbles rise from nowhere, as if something deep below were breathing. For anyone standing near the edge, it's easy to imagine that the water is watching you back. The mystery isn't only supernatural, even scientists and geologists find the place strange. The Pine Barrens sit on a thick layer of sand, which usually produces tea-colored rivers and brown acidic ponds. The Blue Hole, though, is crystal clear and cool. The sand around it is almost white, and the water stays cold all year round, even during summer heat waves. Swimmers have reported sudden temperature drops and odd currents that seem to pull downward, even though there's no visible inflow or outflow. Older residents say the Blue Hole was once a popular swimming spot. Teenagers from Hamilton and Winslow used to ride out there on dirt bikes, spending summer afternoons jumping into the water. But too many accidents turned the place into a ghostly reminder of danger. Stories tell of swimmers pulled under by invisible forces, their bodies found days later downstream or never found at all. Whether those stories are true or just stretched with time, the reputation stuck. Today, most people won't go near it alone. Some believe the Blue Hole is a sinkhole fed by an underground spring. That would explain its cold temperature and the way it seems to bubble from below. Others think it might be a collapsed mine shaft or a remnant from the area's long history of iron mining. During the 18th and 19th centuries, much of the Pine Barrens was mined for bog iron, and old pits still dot the woods. If a mine collapsed or flooded, it could create a circular pool like this one. But even that theory doesn't explain why the water is so unusually blue. The color itself adds to its eerie beauty. In bright sunlight, the pool glows a striking turquoise, almost tropical compared to the dark pine forest surrounding it. Yet when clouds roll in, the shade shifts to deep navy, sometimes appearing black from a distance. It looks like it could swallow anything that touches it. There are no fish, no floating leaves, not even algae on the surface. The silence feels unnatural. Local folklore keeps the mystery alive. Some people claim the hole is haunted by those who drowned there. A few older stories even say it was once used for witchcraft, that strange lights used to hover above it during full moons. Hunters and hikers have reported seeing blue lights flicker beneath the surface, like someone holding a lantern under the water. Others insist they've seen faces appear in the reflection before disappearing in a ripple. Still, there's a strange attraction to the place. Every summer, a few people ignore the warnings and try to find it again. Getting there isn't easy. The trails are unmarked, and the sand roads twist through miles of identical pine trees. If you don't know exactly where you're going, it's easy to get lost. Some say that's part of its protection, as if the forest itself hides the Blue Hole from those who shouldn't find it. A few years back, a local historian tried to study the pool. He measured the temperature and took samples of the water. It turned out to be clean and clear, but unusually cold for a shallow body of water in that area. He also noted that the bottom couldn't be reached easily. Even with equipment, it seemed to drop off sharply, much deeper than expected. His report ended with more questions than answers. If you visit today, you'll notice how time seems to slow near it. The light filters differently through the trees. Even footsteps sound quieter. People who've stood at the edge say they felt a strange calm mixed with unease, like being watched but not threatened. Some visitors throw pebbles into the water, only to see them vanish without a splash, as if the surface swallowed the sound. There's also a practical danger. The sandy soil around the rim can give way, crumbling into the water without warning. Signs of erosion mark parts of the edge, and the area is often closed off to vehicles to protect both visitors and the fragile environment. Still, the rumors persist of people going too close and never coming back, of bikes found abandoned, of ripples moving across the surface with no wind. Locals have mixed feelings about the blue hole. Some see it as part of their home's heritage, a reminder of the Pine Barrens' mysteries and legends. Others think it's better left alone, a place meant to be respected rather than explored. It's not uncommon for parents to warn their kids, don't go looking for it, and if you ever find it, don't swim. But curiosity is hard to resist. The idea of a hidden blue pool deep in the forest feels like something out of a dream. It draws people who love mysteries, photographers chasing the perfect shot, and hikers searching for a quiet, untouched corner of nature. They come for the same reason legends survive, because part of us still wants to believe there are places the modern world can't fully explain. Standing there, surrounded by pines and stillness, you can feel the pull of the unknown. The water's surface seems endless, reflecting both the trees and the sky so perfectly that it feels like a doorway to somewhere else. Whether it's science or something stranger, the blue hole holds its secrets tightly. Even after all the research and rumors, no one has ever proven exactly what it is, how deep it goes, or why it looks the way it does. And maybe that's what keeps it alive in local memory. In a world where everything is mapped, measured, and photographed, the blue hole remains one of those rare places that refuses to be fully understood. Today, it sits quiet as ever, hidden beneath the whispering pines, glowing faintly under the sun, and waiting for the next curious soul to wander close enough to feel its pull. Whether you see it as haunted, holy, or just a geological quirk, one thing's for sure: once you've stood at its edge, the image of that perfect blue circle never really leaves you. The Atco Ghost Road and Unexplained Lights. If you drive down Jackson Road in Atco, New Jersey, late at night, you'll probably notice how quickly the darkness closes in. The trees grow thick on both sides, and the pines seem to lean over the road, blocking out the moonlight. Locals know this stretch of asphalt by another name, Atco Ghost Road, and for decades people have said strange things happen there after sundown. At first glance, it looks like any quiet back road in the Pine Barrens. Long, straight, and empty. The kind of road where you can drive for miles without seeing another car. But the silence here has a weight to it. Some say you can feel it as soon as your headlights hit the edge of the forest. That's when the stories begin. The most famous legend tells of a little boy who died on this road long ago. There are a few different versions, but they all end the same way, with tragedy. One story says he was chasing a basketball or a toy into the street when a car struck him. Another says he was riding his bike when a speeding driver came around the bend too fast. Whatever the version, the result is the same. His life ended here, and something about that moment never left. Locals say that if you stop your car at the right spot, turn off your engine and flash your headlights 3 times, you'll see a faint light appear in the distance. It looks like a small white orb at first, floating low over the road. Then it starts to move slowly at first, then faster, coming straight toward you. Some people say it flickers like a lantern or a headlight. Others say it bounces like it's attached to a child's bike. Just before it reaches you, it disappears. No one agrees on what the light really is. Some believe it's the ghost of the boy, forever reliving that final moment, chasing his ball or his bike light into the road. Others think it's the reflection of headlights from cars somewhere beyond the trees. But anyone who's been there knows there aren't any roads close enough for that. The Pine Barrens swallow sound and light, making reflections unlikely. And besides, the light always appears in the same direction, dead center, down the long stretch of pavement, no matter where you park. Older residents say the legend has been around for as long as anyone can remember. Teenagers from nearby towns used to make late-night trips to see the ghost, testing their courage and filming the experience. A few came back pale and shaken, swearing they saw something real. Others laughed it off, until they went back and found themselves unable to explain the strange light that seemed to move with purpose. not like a reflection or a trick of the eye. There's another story, less well known, but just as eerie. Some say the boy's grieving father also haunts the road. After his son's death, the man supposedly walked the area every night with a lantern, hoping to see his child's spirit. People claim the mysterious light could be his lantern, endlessly swinging through the fog as he searches. When it rushes toward cars and then fades, they believe it's the father's ghost trying to warn drivers, trying to stop another accident. The area itself adds to the atmosphere. The pine barrens are quiet in a way that feels almost unnatural. The air smells like pine and wet sand, and sound doesn't travel normally. Even the crunch of your shoes on the dirt seems muted. Some visitors describe feeling disoriented after standing on the road too long, as if the trees around them start to shift or the night gets thicker. It's easy to imagine you're being watched. A few paranormal investigators have visited Atco Ghost Road with cameras and equipment. They've recorded odd orbs of light, sudden temperature drops, and faint whispers that didn't come from any known source. One group claimed to catch a child's voice on an audio recorder, saying, "Don't go." Skeptics, of course, argue that such evidence could be explained by insects, headlights, or radio interference, but anyone who's actually stood on that road at night knows how convincing the feeling of unease can be. There's also a practical danger here. Jackson Road is still a public street, and although parts of it are less traveled, cars do pass by. Some thrill seekers park in the middle of the lane, hoping to recreate the flashing headlights ritual, which has led to a few near misses. Local police occasionally patrol the area and warn visitors not to block traffic or wander too far into the woods. But even with those warnings, people keep coming back. Curiosity always wins. What makes this legend so enduring isn't just the light itself, it's the feeling that something lingers in that stretch of forest, something tied to loss and memory. The Pine Barrens have a way of holding stories like that. Between their still ponds, sandy trails, and miles of whispering trees, they hide the traces of centuries of lives. From the Lenape people to early settlers and miners, many have lived and died in these woods. The Atco ghost could be one of many spirits still trying to reach the living. Some visitors describe the light appearing even when they didn't flash their headlights, as if it senses their presence. It glows softly at first, then fades before they can approach. Others say they've heard the sound of a bicycle wheel turning, or the faint echo of a child laughing just before the forest falls silent again. In some versions of the legend, if you leave a toy or a ball by the roadside, you'll return to find it moved or missing. Skeptics have tried to find logical explanations. Some point to swamp gas, natural methane escaping from decaying plants that can ignite and create ghostly floating flames. Others suggest the phenomenon is simply the reflection of lights from distant highways or plains. But those who've seen the Atco light insist it's different, brighter, lower, and strangely intelligent, moving toward you as if it knows you're there. During the day, the road looks harmless. The pine needles carpet the ground, sunlight filters through the branches, and it's hard to imagine anything supernatural ever happening there. But as the sun sets and the forest darkens, the mood shifts, the trees close in, and the long stretch of asphalt seems to stretch farther than before. When you stop your car and the engine clicks off, all you can hear is the faint rustle of wind and your own heartbeat. Then comes the moment everyone talks about. You flash your headlights once, twice, 3 times. The darkness ahead stays still for a few seconds. Then, from far down the road, a tiny point of light appears, just a dot at first. Slowly, it grows brighter, moving closer, gliding above the ground without a sound. It feels deliberate, like someone walking toward you. Some people panic and start the car, others can't look away. The light keeps coming, until at the last second, it blinks out completely, leaving only the darkness and the echo of your breath. If you talk to locals in Atco, most will smile and tell you the story with a mix of pride and superstition. It's part of the town's identity now, a mystery passed down from one generation to the next. Some treat it as harmless fun, others take it seriously, warning that certain places hold energy that shouldn't be disturbed. Whether the Atco Ghost Road is haunted or not, it represents something universal, our fascination with the unknown. It's a reminder that even in a modern world of cameras and maps, there are still corners where mystery survives. People visit not just to see a ghost, but to feel that spark of wonder, the same feeling that has fueled ghost stories for centuries. If you ever find yourself driving through Atco late at night, and the road suddenly grows quiet, maybe think twice before you flash your lights. You might just catch a glimpse of that wandering glow in the distance, a small, flickering light that reminds you some stories never truly fade. The Shades of Death Road Mysteries. There's a road in Warren County, New Jersey, that seems to have been born out of a nightmare. The name alone is enough to send a chill down your spine. Shades of Death Road. It winds through quiet woods and rolling hills near the Jenny Jump State Forest, an area that looks peaceful during the day, but feels completely different once the sun goes down. The air grows heavy, the trees cast long shadows, and you start to understand why so many strange stories surround this lonely stretch of asphalt. No one knows exactly how the road got its name. Some locals say it dates back to the 1800s, when the area was rough, full of robbers and highwaymen who would ambush travelers passing through. Others believe it came from a series of violent deaths that took place along the road, murders, accidents, and even disappearances that never quite made sense. Whatever the truth, the name stuck, and so did its reputation as one of the most haunted roads in America. Driving down Shades of Death Road at night is like stepping into another world. It's a two-lane road, narrow and twisting, lined with old trees that seem to lean over as if they're trying to touch the cars that pass beneath. Fog often settles there, especially near the low-lying areas around Ghost Lake, where the mist can make it hard to tell where the road ends and the darkness begins. Many drivers have reported seeing strange shapes in the fog, figures standing by the roadside that vanish when the car gets close. Some have seen shadows crossing the pavement with no visible source. Others claim their headlights flicker or their radios suddenly fill with static as they approach certain bends. There's even a rumor that if you stop your car and turn off the engine, you can hear faint voices whispering in the trees. One of the road's most talked about spots is Ghost Lake, a small body of water that sits just off the main road. It's beautiful during the day, but eerie after dark. The lake got its name because of the pale mist that hangs over it in the early morning, glowing with the moonlight. Some say they've seen figures walking along its edge, or reflections of people who aren't there. Local stories claim the lake was formed on cursed ground, and that something beneath its surface keeps the area trapped in a cycle of unrest. Near Ghost Lake is another strange place known as Fairy Hole, a small cave in the nearby hillside. Native American artifacts have been found there, suggesting the site was used long before settlers arrived. Some say the cave holds spiritual energy, while others think it's a gateway to something older. People who ventured inside at night describe sudden drops in temperature, whispers echoing off the stone, and flashes of light with no clear source. The road's violent history adds another layer to its legend. According to old accounts, this area was once home to a group of settlers who fought bitterly over land and property. Stories tell of murders that happened in the cabins that once lined the road, neighbors turning on each other, thieves ambushing travelers, and victims left where they fell. In one version, a man was robbed and beaten to death for a bag of gold coins, his body left in the woods. Another tale speaks of a woman who vanished from her home and was later found lifeless near the water, her death never solved. Some people say the spirits of those who died violently still linger there, unable to move on. Drivers have reported seeing a woman dressed in white standing in the middle of the road, only for her to vanish when they swerve to avoid her. Others tell of glowing orbs that drift through the trees like floating candles. One couple claimed they followed a strange light through the forest, only to find themselves completely lost, the road gone, their phones dead, and the woods unnaturally silent. The stories get darker the deeper you go. Some say the road was once used for secret rituals, that people came here under the cover of darkness to perform ceremonies they didn't want the world to see. Burn marks on trees, strange symbols painted on rocks, and animal remains found in clearing areas have only added to the rumors. Whether those were just local teenagers trying to scare each other, or something else entirely, no one really knows. There's also talk of Lenape legends tied to the land around Jenny Jump Mountain. The name itself comes from a tragic story about a Native American girl who, while being chased by invaders, leapt from the cliffs to escape capture. Her spirit is said to haunt the area, and some believe her presence adds to the strange energy that lingers along Shades of Death Road. If you visit during the day, the area feels almost too normal. Bright sunlight, quiet birdsong, and small houses tucked among the trees. But as evening falls, that normal feeling slips away. The shadows stretch across the pavement, and the forest seems to close in. The road's twists and turns make it easy to lose your bearings, and the tall trees on either side block out the stars. Many who have driven the road say they started out curious but ended up uneasy. Some describe sudden chills, headlights dimming for no reason, or the sound of footsteps on gravel even though no one was there. Others have returned to find handprints on their car windows, as if someone pressed against the glass while they weren't looking. A few claim to have seen eyes watching them from the woods, glowing faintly in the darkness. Local police dismiss most of these stories as imagination mixed with adrenaline. But even they admit the road has seen its share of real accidents. Cars veering off into ditches, unexplained crashes on clear nights, and people swearing they saw someone in the road before impact. Some of those drivers insisted that when they got out to check, there was no one there at all. Over the years, paranormal investigators, thrill seekers, and documentary crews have all tried to capture proof of the road's mysteries. Cameras have picked up odd mists and moving lights. Audio recordings have caught faint voices calling names. None of it is clear enough to count as proof, but it's more than enough to keep the legend alive. Despite the stories, Shades of Death Road remains open. Locals drive it every day to get to work or home, and most will tell you it's perfectly safe, at least during daylight. But when asked about driving it after dark, their tone changes. They'll usually say something like, "I'd rather not," or "once was enough." That alone tells you everything. What makes the place truly unsettling isn't any single ghost or light, it's the feeling it gives you. The combination of quiet, shadow, and history makes your imagination race. You can't help but think about all the people who've driven this same road and seen something they couldn't explain. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there's no denying that Shades of Death Road has a presence, something that stays with you long after you've left it behind. If you ever find yourself there at night, windows down, the smell of pine in the air, and that uneasy stillness pressing in, you'll understand why so many people call it haunted. Maybe the road's name came from history, maybe it came from tragedy, or maybe it was always meant to warn travelers about what they were driving into. Either way, when the fog rolls across the asphalt and the forest seems to whisper your name, you'll realize that on Shades of Death Road, the line between the living and the dead feels thinner than anywhere else in New Jersey. The ancient megaliths of Jenny Jump Forest. Hidden within the rolling green hills of northwestern New Jersey, Jenny Jump State Forest holds a secret that few visitors ever notice. Most come here for the hiking trails, the campsites, or the quiet overlooks that stretch toward the Delaware Water Gap. But deep in those woods, past the familiar paths and picnic tables, lie clusters of moss-covered boulders that have puzzled locals and researchers for generations. They're massive stones, some standing upright, others balanced in odd formations, and they don't quite fit the landscape. Many call them the ancient megaliths of Jenny Jump Forest, and no one really knows who placed them there or why. At first glance, the stones could be mistaken for natural glacial leftovers. After all, this part of New Jersey was shaped by ice thousands of years ago. But if you take the time to walk among them, the patterns start to feel intentional. Some stones form small circles, while others line up in straight paths that seem to point toward the sunrise or the hills beyond. A few even stand on end, like crude pillars, their tops flattened as if once used for ritual or alignment. Local hikers have long wondered if these were the work of early Native American tribes. The Lenape people once lived throughout this region, and they were known for building stone piles and ceremonial markers. But even archaeologists admit these particular formations are unusual. Some of the stones are far too large to have been moved easily, and the precision with which they rest on one another suggests more than random chance. There's an air of mystery here that's hard to explain unless you've stood among them yourself. The forest is quiet, dense with pine and oak. The light filters through the canopy in thin golden streaks. Birds call in the distance, but near the stones the air feels oddly still. The ground is soft with leaves and moss, and when the wind shifts, the forest seems to hum faintly, as though the stones are holding on to an ancient memory. One of the most striking formations sits on a small rise overlooking a brook. 3 stones lean together in a rough triangle, their sides weathered but smooth. Some believe it could have been a kind of primitive dolmen, a burial marker similar to those found in Europe. If true, that would mean the site's origins stretch back thousands of years, long before European settlers arrived. It's hard to imagine that kind of age in a place most people only know as a weekend hiking spot. There are also stories about alignment with the stars. Amateur researchers have measured certain stone lines and claim they align with the solstices or the path of Orion's belt. Whether that's coincidence or design is impossible to say, but it's the kind of detail that fuels imagination. If the stones really were arranged with astronomical intent, it could mean someone here understood the sky in a way we've long forgotten. The forest's name itself, Jenny Jump, adds another layer of myth. According to old legend, a Native American girl named Jenny was chased to the edge of a cliff by attackers. Rather than be captured, she leapt to her death, and her spirit is said to haunt the area. Some say the stones are connected to her story, that they mark sacred ground tied to her tribe or her memory. Others believe they were already ancient when the legend began, silent witnesses to tragedies long before her time. In the early 1900s, local farmers clearing land for crops and pastures stumbled across similar stone piles in the surrounding hills. Some dismissed them as boundary markers. Others thought they were graves. A few refused to touch them at all, believing it bad luck to move the stones. The fear wasn't unfounded. Stories spread of tools breaking, animals falling ill, or storms hitting soon after a pile was disturbed. Even today, old-timers in nearby towns will tell you to let the stones be. Hikers who wander too deep into the forest sometimes describe strange experiences. Compass needles spin in circles. Phones lose signal, even when other parts of the park have coverage. A few have claimed to hear faint drumming in the distance, slow, rhythmic beats that stop as soon as you try to locate them. Others talk about feeling watched, as if the forest itself is aware of their presence. It could all be imagination, but the feeling is hard to shake once it settles in. Some visitors swear the megaliths change appearance depending on the time of day. At dawn, when the first light hits the stones, they seem to glow faintly, their surfaces warm with color. By noon, they look dull and ordinary, but at twilight, they take on a darker tone, almost blue, blending into the shadows like hidden sentinels. Whether it's just the changing light or something deeper, people often leave with the sense that the stones are alive in their own quiet way. Modern geologists, trying to ground the mystery in fact, argue that these boulders could have been shaped by retreating glaciers roughly 12,000 years ago. The sharp edges, they say, come from natural fractures and erosion. Still, that doesn't explain why so many seem deliberately placed. If nature did it, she had an artist's precision. Some of the larger stones rest perfectly balanced on smaller ones, as if positioned by careful hands rather than random movement. A few paranormal groups have also taken interest in the site. They bring electromagnetic sensors and night vision cameras, hoping to capture something unexplained. Some claim to have recorded faint voices or sudden bursts of static energy near the stones. One group reported seeing orbs of light moving through the trees at midnight, drifting around the formations before fading into the darkness. Whether those were tricks of the camera or something stranger is anyone's guess. Standing among the megaliths, it's easy to understand why people feel drawn to them. They have a quiet gravity, a sense of permanence that makes the rest of the world feel temporary. You can almost imagine ancient ceremonies taking place here, fires burning, people chanting, stars shining overhead. Maybe these stones were altars, maybe they were calendars, or maybe they were just markers of belonging, reminders that someone once called this forest sacred. Today, the area around the megaliths is peaceful. Moss and lichen cover the surfaces, softening their edges. Ferns grow between the gaps. Most visitors walk right past without realizing the history at their feet. The forest has reclaimed much of what once stood here, wrapping the stones in roots and shadows. Only those who look closely notice their strange order among the chaos of the woods. In a way, the mystery of Jenny Jump's megaliths reflects something about the forest itself, quiet, old, and unwilling to give up all its secrets. Whether they were shaped by ancient people, natural forces, or something beyond our understanding, they remain one of New Jersey's most overlooked mysteries. If you visit, you might find yourself standing there longer than you planned, listening to the wind move through the leaves, and wondering who else might have stood in that same spot hundreds or even thousands of years ago. The forest doesn't answer, but somehow, that silence feels like part of the truth. When you walk away, the stones fade into the distance, hidden again beneath the trees, waiting for the next person curious enough to notice them and patient enough to feel the weight of their mystery.